We're live. Oh my gosh. And we're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the first episode of Work Nerds. Sometimes you got to rip the band-aid off and test things out. So I'm really excited to launch a new web show called Work Nerds. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jessica Miller Merrill, and I'm the founder of Workology. I had an internet television show in 2008 to I think 2010, and we're back. I have missed live internet, and I'm excited to dive into various topics. So the premise of Work Nerds, just to kind of give you an idea, is that I work in HR, right? I work in the workplace, and I absolutely love this space. And I love to talk shop about all things related to the workplace. So we're going to talk about some topics today on our first premiere show. We're going to kick the tires a little bit because, hey, it's the first show, and I'm going to answer any questions. So the format for Work Nerds is really just driven by you. So we're talking about work-related topics, but putting a spin on it. Myself as the HR expert, I can talk a little bit about HR, but this is kind of like work-related content that you're doing, that we're talking about at the bar, over lunch with friends, and it's going to be real and it's going to be a lot of fun. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jessica Miller Merrill, and I'm the founder of Workology, and I have worked in HR, it's hard to say, for over 20 years. The HR space and is an interesting one. We're the most loved and the most hated people in the workplace. So I'm here to shine a little spotlight onto HR. We're not as bad as you think that we are. There's a lot of misinformation out there, but I'm here to talk about work-related issues. So we're going to be covering what is in the news, topics related to work, and we are going to have them driven by you. What I envision with Work Nerds is it's an interactive community where lots of conversation is happening, and I'm going to be pulling directly from the news. We're going to follow cases and newsworthy stories further than just what you hear in the media. Example, better.com, their kind of drama, right? What happens after they do the layoffs? Not just the first round of layoff, but it's the second layoffs. What happens typically in the remote workplace? Do we do virtual layoffs? How did we do before when we were in person? I'll be talking about all these kinds of things, giving you the scoop on really what should be going down. How do you decide on these kinds of things and more? This is a weekly show, so I'll be coming to you live every single week from 7 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And sometimes I'll be bringing a guest. I have a number of attorneys who are chomping at the bit to be here. They want to be on the show. They want to talk to you. They want you to ask them questions related to whatever topic we're going to be discussing. So that's a really fun and cool thing that we're going to be having. Sometimes it'll be just me and you, talking shop, just chatting about the workplace, the world, and what is trending in the news. Today, really with the premiere, I want to get comfortable with YouTube Live. I haven't went live on YouTube. I'm unfamiliar with the platform. In fact, I had to reset my password to get here because my team normally gets on YouTube for me. I am natively streaming from YouTube versus going through the third party, which is what we use for a lot of our stuff. So not really sure to expect. But that is kind of the basis for the show. What I will also be doing is I want to hear from you in the comments. Let me know what's going on, how you're thinking, what kinds of topics and stories you want to hear, whether you watch this live with me or later on after the live stream. I will be asking for your feedback. So Work Nerds will do a weekly poll, some different things to try to better get a handle on the types of topics that you want to be talking about. So let us talk a little bit about our topics for today. So I have to be honest with you. So I went to the salon today and I kind of waited until around 5 Central Time. And I literally rolled up here to do the show in front of my house at 6:54. So this is the longest nail salon extravaganza ever. They look beautiful. I got them redone, but it took them 2 hours to get this done. Um, and that is the real of my life and what's going on in the world right now. Some topics that I'm thinking about talking about for next week, just to give you a sense. And again, we're going to vote on these things. So, and these are conversations from the news, conversations that I have had with friends at the bar, at lunch, different things, and how they transition into the workplace. So, one of the stories that I do want to talk about, potentially, and I'll have you all vote, is what's going on with Starbucks. There's a lot of union activity happening at Starbucks. I want to talk through union organization process. How do independent stores or individual stores become unionized? What does that mean? What does the union voting process look like? And what's interesting for me, and one of the reasons I want to talk about this is because my background is retail, but also because it's all over social media. It's really fascinating. In fact, I shared yesterday on Instagram stories a um, a graphic that was talking about don't shop at this store, the Starbucks, because they're asserting their power and they want to go to vote. So we're going to walk through maybe some of those. So the Starbucks unionization, why is this happening? Amazon has had their first location here in the US become unionized. If you've been around the workplace for a little while, the fight for 15 was something that we were talking about, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, but it's really transformed. And social media has played a role in unionization for sure and how they market and engaged. But this particular group of Amazon and then with the Starbucks unionized stores is feeling a lot differently. And salaries have gone up. It's no longer the fight for 15. It really is the fight for 20 or the fight for 25 in terms of getting our hourly workers into locations. And when I was at Starbucks, probably about 3 weeks ago, I actually went into the store and picked up some drinks for my family and I. And I was really surprised. It was, I think it was a Saturday afternoon. We drove around Austin to kind of on an errand, and my 13-year-old was like, "Hey, Mom, can we get some Starbucks?" So I stopped in and went inside and picked it up. It took forever to get my drinks number one, which I get it. It's hard to hire. But I was really surprised at the age of the workers, the baristas at the Starbucks. In, 10 years ago, or even 8 years ago, 5 years ago, when Starbucks was cool, I feel like Starbucks was the place to be. It had good benefits. Everybody was hanging out there. My daughter and I, when she was a little girl, we would go for work dates. She would drink her chocolate milk. She called it her coffee. I would drink my coffee, do some work, check the email. And they were all 22, 24, 26-year-olds there and up. And 3 weeks ago, going to the Starbucks and picking up inside, everyone was barely 16 years old. It was definitely a change. And I feel like it was a case study of what is going on in the workplace right now, particularly the restaurant and hospitality space, which that is a whole another series of topics that we can talk about, staffing in uh, the hospitality restaurant environment. It is crazy, y'all, right now. So many recruiters and HR leaders and store managers are really struggling. So I do want to talk about unionization. That'll be one of the topics that y'all will vote on this week. So Starbucks unionization, we'll cover some things, what's going on. This is a series of stories that we can follow for quite a while because things are changing, what locations win votes, what don't win union votes, how do they stay with the union, how do they vote to leave. This will be a story that it's a gift that keeps on giving. And of course, there'll be lots of good nuggets of wisdom coming from different places. So Starbucks unionization, topic number 1. Topic number 2 that I'll have y'all vote on and let me know as part of the poll that'll be in the community section here on our YouTube channel here at Workology is, what am I thinking? I'm losing my mind. So the second topic that I want us to talk about, I really want to go into one, but I feel like we need to wait a minute. Is I'll just do it. I want to talk about mushrooms, recreational mushroom use. I was in a Facebook thread yesterday. Was it this morning? This morning, and I've read a couple articles, and this is some things I can share about low dose mushrooming and how it is being used to help with anxiety, getting people off Adderall or other medication. And I wondered, like, is this something that we're seeing in the workplace? Because it's something that a lot of people, I'm in Austin, in Texas, are doing. We are seeing it happen everywhere. Happy hours, networking, all the things, casually, recreationally, but also in low doses to help with anxiety, depression, all the different things. And so I want to learn more about this, maybe to try, maybe not, but also to see how this is working in the workplace. Our drug tests, I don't even know. Do drug tests find mushrooms? It feels organic, but so is marijuana. And is this something that HR leaders are concerned about? Texas does not have any legalization of marijuana here. That's certainly something else we can talk about because there are a number of states and municipalities and places around the legalization of marijuana. But I want to talk about low dose mushrooming and bring in some medical experts, some drug test experts to talk about the low dose mushrooming to see how is that impacting work? How is that impairing the individual? And what kind of jobs, if this is happening, should we be concerned about their ability to do the job? Forklift drivers, over on the road truckers, those kind of things. Those are some things that I personally am really interested in. And I would love to know from those of you who are a part of this new format with Work Nerds, is this something that you're participating in? Or do you have friends or colleagues or people that you know? Because I think it's a lot more widespread and it hasn't been discussed in HR. Another thing that I want to add to the mix is cryptocurrency. I think this is a fun topic and actually just came across an advertisement, and we're researching it right now on Twitter that has investment plans, employer investment plans in Bitcoin. All right. I have some crypto. I do invest. I'm trying to understand with the volatility of cryptocurrency compared to a traditional 401k or an IRA, how this might work. So I want to look at crypto as an investment in the workplace. I'm going to be reaching out to the HR technology company that's offering that, because if you're looking at being the next cool tech employer, or you want to attract a certain type of person, developers, programmers, the tech side, maybe offering an employment plan or a investment plan in Bitcoin might be the right move for you. I don't know. We'll have to see. Are people using Bitcoin this way? Is not just necessarily, is it a good investment? It's highly volatile, but is it a useful tool to attract certain types of people to your organization? So, also in the news this week related to cryptocurrency is that Elon Musk is now on the board for Twitter, right? And he's a huge fan of Dogecoin. And it was also something on the Twitters that I saw earlier. But I do want to talk about cryptocurrency in the workplace, whether for compensation, whether as a investment plan benefit that you should be looking at to offer, maybe not this year or next year in the future, because a lot of us right now as HR leaders are thinking about benefits and perks and thinking about healthcare plans, different investment options, different things, not for this year, but for the 2023 year. Can you believe that we're already thinking about this? These are things that are probably on your mind that you're thinking about as you're meeting with your benefits broker or your PEO or whoever that you're working with in terms of these different offerings. Is a 401k cool enough to bring people to the workplace? I don't know. Or do you need to be investing and offering a Bitcoin compensation plan? Or do you need to offer a 401k type program using Bitcoin? I did also an interesting article that also about crypto that was looking at cities that are that have city specific Bitcoin or crypto. So Miami, I guess, and New York are two of the first cities that offer Miami City Coin, which is again another form of crypto. And I wonder, what if instead of stock options for vesting, Target or Twitter or somebody creates a Twitter crypto, right? A Twitter coin, and then employees get additional perks and benefits. There is a current crypto, a current coin on the market, or a series of cryptocurrency. I think it's called Rally, and they allow for individuals, like I could make our own Workology or Work Nerds crypto coin. Brian Fanzo has a coin that he has, I think, that does relatively well. But I wondered if we don't pay people in Bitcoin, or if we don't offer perks or benefits this way, maybe we create our own employer driven cryptocurrency. We control that and could provide employees, instead of stock options, with their own company name coin. I don't know. We're going to get wild and crazy and out there on Work Nerds, covering different topics, different stories that are in the news. So that is option number 3. And then I guess option number 4, I really want to hear from y'all. I mean, I could go to the internet right now and say, what's trending in the news? What is happening in the workplace space that has gotten your attention most, which is what this show, as we work out the kinks here with the first premiere, we'll move forward. I will present each story. So we'll vote, and then I'll present the topic that we're going to be discussing about. So y'all can do your research if you're interested in it, so that we can have some points of conversation. And then sometimes we'll bring on guests and sometimes not. But I want to get real and I want to get outside of the box. I feel like HR, and for most HR leaders, they might not admit this in organizational circles, but definitely when we're having cocktails outside of work, that a lot of the stuff that's being talked about in the news is really boring, or just kind of standard insert here type of content. Employee handbooks, PTO policies, the Great Resignation. I am so over hearing about these kind of things. I want to talk about interesting, different, controversial stories that impact our world of work. And the beauty of YouTube is that you can be yourself, or you can be anonymous here. I just want to hear from you. And hopefully we can bring a new and different spin to the conversation, one that you haven't heard before. So that is 3 stories that I do want to talk about. The last story I want to discuss, and I feel like we'll cover a little bit of this now, is remote work. And I'm going to get on my soapbox here for a minute, because I'm so tired of this topic, number 1. And the reality of the situation is that remote work is great. And that 70% of the people I've talked to, maybe even more than that, want to stay remote. In fact, many people are looking for jobs because their boss is bringing them back to the office. Now, I know not everyone can work remotely, but one of the main reasons that employers are making people come back to work is really ridiculous. And that is because of bad managers, and they just don't want to rock the boat. My team works remotely. We have always worked remotely. I do have a co-working space here in Austin, Texas, where I do go to the office on occasion and work. I do like to see people in person, but we can do all of our work, mine digitally, in a remote environment. And normally the people who don't want to work remotely are people who don't understand the importance. They don't care, or they're just bad managers, bad leaders, bad managers, or they're CEOs and executive teams who, frankly, they just want to justify this really expensive line item on their financial statements, which is property building space, right? Because office buildings are expensive. And whether you're owning or renting, the reason to get people back into the office is so that you can justify all these different kinds of things. I have an upcoming podcast interview with Darren Murph, and he's the head of remote for a company called GitLab. And there are 1,500 employees fully remote. And we talked about this last week when we recorded the interview. I think that's coming out in the next few weeks on the Workology podcast. And you can kind of take a look at those. We record various podcasts, mostly talking to heads of HR and then interesting people like Darren Murph. But we talked about remote. I saw something this week on LinkedIn, and that 20% or a large percentage of job postings right now on LinkedIn are remote jobs. And the majority of candidates on LinkedIn are applying for those jobs, not the in-person or the hybrid type jobs. And I think that the reality is if you have a remote job, you're getting all the applications. Even a hybrid job, but a remote job getting the majority of the applications. In fact, if I posted a remote job today, I could just post in a couple Facebook groups and maybe put it out on the free feed through Indeed, and I wouldn't need to pay. I would find somebody to fit that role. So if your organization is having a hard time filling those jobs, it could be because you're not offering remote. So the last story with remote that I do want to talk about is this week, Google went back to work officially. And so Google has been people can come in the office a little bit, but they have a formal application process to be able to work remote. And the last article that I saw on this, and this is, I think, inaccurate information, but Google has Alphabet has 140,000 employees in their workplace. Okay, 140,000 employees there. And their data said that 14,000, roughly 10% at the time, probably about 6 weeks ago, had applied to work remotely. So there's an application process. It's really up to the manager to decide, but you can submit it through a formal process. To me, 10% of your workplace wanting to go remote when everything I am seeing from people is 70% of us want to work remote is incredibly low. I don't think that Google has been accurately reporting those numbers. Whoever shared the information, they might not have had the right data, or they also want people to go back to the office because they have a beautiful campus in Mountain View, California, among other places that they have heavily invested in, along with the other amazing perks and benefits that come with having that campus location. But 10% of your workplace wanting to work remotely and haven't submitted an application. That number to me seems incredibly low. And I think it's really inaccurate. And one of the reasons I do think that that's inaccurate is because, again, I was in a little Facebook group here in Austin. It's not a little one. It's a rather large Facebook group with, I think they have over 40 or 50,000 members. And there was somebody from Google that had relocated to Austin, Texas from Mountain View, California. They moved here during the pandemic. They bought a house, and then they submitted their application to work remote. And their boss denied that application. So that candidate, that individual, was actively looking for a job here in Austin that they could be remote or drivable distance to be able to go into the office. And there are lots of people at Google that have had this happen, that have done this exact same thing, among other places. In fact, I have friends right now who are living in Europe. They have sold everything and they moved there for an extended period of time. It's happening a lot more frequently. And frankly, I am on that team. You work where you want to work the hours and schedule that you want to do. As long as you are able to do the job, it shouldn't matter if you're in Austin, Texas, Tulum, Mexico, San Francisco, California, or Omaha, Nebraska. And those are the facts. So remote work, we can talk about some strategies. We can talk about some ways for you to be able to maybe ask your boss or make the case to be able to work remotely, because I think a lot of us right now are being sidelined or blindsided with those requesting, hey, come back to the office. In fact, a friend of mine has worked in HR in the same position at the same company for over 9 years. And they have been working just fine remotely over these last little 2 years plus. And last week, the call came, hey, we're coming back to the office. You, my friend, need to come back into the office and start working. Well, she has a medically fragile child. There's doctor's appointments and different things. And her schedule at home allows her some flexibility to be able to support her child, take them to the doctor's appointments and do different things in a manner that works for her. She is set up a meeting to talk to her boss, but has already begun the process of applying for jobs. And in just a few short days, already had a number of interviews. So if you're making that call, you better prepare for, I would say, estimates anywhere between, you should have 40, 60 and 80% turnover. If you were going to call people back into the office, even still, I would prepare for that eventuality. So as an HR leader, as a manager, I would look at my team and say, okay, we're going back to the office. I need to check in with everybody, number one. And then number two, start recruiting. Start casually building a bench of candidates, because when you bring people back to the office, they are going to be quitting. If not right now, they are actively looking for work. They are actively applying for jobs, and they're actively interviewing, anywhere between 40, 60, and even 80%, depending upon what kind of boss you are and what kind of work environment that you have in the office. Those are just facts. The Great Resignation, I feel like, is continuing. People maybe quit in the beginning of the pandemic. It's been 2 years. Tenure is really changing. Even before the pandemic, work tenures were becoming increasingly lower. And so people are making jumps. And then some people are leaving jobs under 6 months because they have new opportunities. Or like my friend, now she is going to be leaving a job that she's worked at for 9 years. Who works somewhere for 9 years these days? Not many people. I work for myself, so 9 years is a little bit different. Like, I guess I could fire myself and go back into the corporate world, but holy cow, that's definitely not for me. But are you willing to let go of 80% of your workforce? I would say that most bosses are going to say no. And if you don't think that your people are thinking that way, you better have a really great relationship with them. But chances are you're delusional. And those are just facts. So Work Nerds this is the premiere episode. For those of you that don't know, hi, my name's Jessica Miller Merrill. I'm going to come to you live every Thursday from 7 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we're going to talk about work, but we're going to make it fun. I feel like there should be cocktails happening or something in the course of the show, but work can be fun. And there are so many work topics in the news that we're gonna talk about them. We're gonna be open. We're gonna be honest. You can ask me questions. You can ask my guests questions about what we really mean about the things. So if you have ever wondered what HR really does, how we make these decisions, and kind of be a little fly on the wall, Work Nerds is the place for you. I have dedicated my career to HR and the workplace. I truly love this space. It is a lot of fun. The people are great. And it is a special industry and a place for us to be able to work. But HR is more than hiring and firing. So I'm going to be real with you, and we're going to talk through different stories that are in the news every single week. And that is going to be happening from 7 to 8 Central Standard Time on Thursday. So come back next Thursday. I will be here. The goal is that we're going to be launching a poll, and we'll launch the poll over the weekend for you to choose the stories that are going to be talked about on the next show. You can also submit topics as well in the comment section, but we'll cover stories that are in the news. And I will give you some options to choose from with our community poll that will be coming out. And then that'll give me some time to do some research, think about what we want to really discuss and make sure. But if you have questions about the world of work, the job search, office politics, whatever's in the news, I'm your gal, and I'm here to give you an honest answer about the world of work and how you can navigate through it. If you're working remotely or in person, you don't have to do this alone. That's really what Work Nerds is all about. Well, I've been online for a little over 30 minutes and kind of giving you an overview of what we're going to be talking about here on the show. I have kicked the tires on some things, so I know how this works now. So thank you for tuning in, for giving me the opportunity to fail spectacularly or win amazing, and just kick the tires a little bit and figure out how YouTube Live works, because we're going to be going live every single week talking about different topics related to work in the news. My name is Jessica Miller Merrill. I'm the founder of Workology, your host for Work Nerds. I love the workplace. And if you are looking for resources and information related to the world of work, this YouTube channel is the place, so subscribe. But you can also take a look at my website. It's called workology.com. We have robust content and resources for all things related to the world of work, and you can check it out at workology.com. All right, that is it. It is the premiere episode of Work Nerds, the destination, the place for real honest conversations related to the world of work. My name is Jessica Miller Merrill. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Thanking you for letting me share with you my passion, which is the workplace. So I will see you every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central. Have a good rest of your day and week. I'll see you next time.